A YouTuber commenter that tends to post to my channel his opinions and what he's heard and say what he's saying almost like he's asking a question. He's the opposite of just answering questions. He posts assertions. Has decided to say this. Whenever you see a left-leaning person come back this hard against my original post, it's referring to me, I know I've touched a nerve. Moving the goalpost on what is acceptable radiation levels in the ocean won't help fix the facts, especially since there are 20,000 people working on this meltdown and leak. The NEC doesn't want people to know how dangerous nuclear energy is to our planet. Everybody knows it's dangerous. The fact that these fuel rods have to get mighty hot to blow up the whole plant like Fukushima, that's not actually what happened, it was mostly a hydrogen explosion, and the leak into the ocean still going on for now 10 years, you aren't updating yourself very well, will cause the ocean temp to rise. No, it cannot. There's a specific amount of water you can heat up a specific number of degrees by a nuclear power plant. And that's based on the total BTU rating for it. This is a well-understood thing. No, it doesn't cause the ocean to heat up. A nuclear power plant cannot cause what global warming is causing on the east coast of the United States, but let's go on. Science can try to hide facts all they want by calling it climate change. No, this climate change was happening before Fukushima. At this point, I'm removing every one of your posts. You're saying that I'm doing this because I'm a liberal, and you're not addressing what I did in my response to you. You are avoiding the factual data, or at least what I think is factual data, and you're not critiquing what I've said. You're using a blanket statement. I'm not allowing you to post anymore until you admit you did this as a tactic. We have a lot of shit on this planet to solve. I even did a video, but I'm going to do a new one just because you did this. They won't even say the word Fukushima, because it's not causing global warming, you cunt. And I mean that very simply. It isn't. The total energy output of 100 tons, metric or otherwise, it doesn't matter. I use metric tons because that's a larger total volume of material. 100 tons of uranium, fuel-grade uranium, total energy output is the equivalent to 4 hours of light exposure over the surface area of Vermont. This is a very good thumbnail sketch, and you could critique it by saying, I did the math wrong, or I don't know the surface area of Vermont, or I made a mistake and only used 3% enriched uranium in my response. Instead, you did this. You ignored what I said, and I didn't ignore what you said. You do not deserve respect, and you can't have it again unless you admit you did this out of desperation because I ramrodded you the same way you did me. This person brought up a bunch of comments in one stack on under a video I have, and I replied to every single thing the person made as an assertion, and then promptly ignored those responses because I don't have to address that. I'm the one who gets to make you play games and run around like a one-legged man at a butt-kicking contest. Thanks for confirming exactly what they want us to believe. No, there is no they. This is me looking up the information from anti-nuclear websites that described it, specifically saying we don't need nuclear power, we can use sunlight. It would take a 100-mile by 100-mile array of solar panels to replace 100 tons of uranium. And you can look up how much it costs to make a 100-mile across by 100-mile across solar panel array. But then again, it would pay for itself in terms of uranium power plant fuel in 4 fucking hours. You didn't get that? Then he suggests we check out Kevin Blanch's YouTube channel for a real rundown. But Kevin Blanch got cancer. He says he has cancer, and ignored the fact that he did drywall work for decades, and the drywall material he used, and he even showed a picture of it, is one that had a problem of causing the exact cancer he claims he has. Kevin Blanch and Beautiful Girl by Dana are liars. Period, full stop. They've been caught it repeatedly. You have the audacity to post this. I am disappointed. Now, do I believe this person's some shill pushing this shit? Now I do, but in the past, no. This person has been very careful not to do that. I guess today, let me see. Whenever we see we call them right and left leaners. Whenever I see a Fukushima conspiracy theorist come back this deflective of what I've posted as a text response, you know I've hit a nerve, or more accurately, he can't feel anymore. Fukushima uranium fuel, presuming 100 tons, which is the most quoted quantity of a description of the amount that was burned off into the atmosphere, totally annihilated, all sorts of extrapolated statements. But no, it wasn't. The material did not do that. But that can be done as 100,000 kilograms, which is 100 metric tons, or 100 tons, which approximates, depending on short or long ton, 90,000 kilograms. So I'm using a larger number here, mostly because it's easier math, 100,000 kilograms. Specific energy density for light water reactor grade, 3.5% enriched uranium, because that's what they're using. They also have MOX fuel, but if you look up the MOX fuel, it has almost the same energy density. This is, if you take a kilogram of uranium, make it into rods, and use it to heat water, in this situation, at 100 tons, what is the average energy output? It's 3.4 million joules. It's 3.4 megajoules. It's actually 3.46 or something, but you get the idea. This energy, to calculate it, works out to a certain number of gigajoules or terajoules or whatever. Power total. Now, out of 100 kilograms, 100 times that, because that's the uranium energy density. That's its entire existence. That's all the energy you can get out of it. And that's doing it to where it's not efficient anymore, where you're literally running depleted uranium that technically is still hot until it goes cold. Those are the parameters. I looked them up. That's the maximum level. That's if we did it to the point that it's no longer even depleted uranium, it's cold. Cold uranium is essentially inert. You can get away with burying it pretty easily because it can't react anymore. It's its own packing material. After that point, obviously, you pack it in something else, but you get the idea. If 1 megajoule of energy is the equivalent to a little less than a quarter kilowatt, which is what the rating is. And again, all you had to do is critique whether I got the math wrong here. 100 tons of uranium fuel from Fukushima would be around almost 100,000 gigawatt hours of total output. So 100,000 kilograms is the equivalent to almost 100,000, almost exactly the same ratio, number of gigawatt hours. So basically 1 kilogram of uranium can put out 1 gigawatt hour total. A gigawatt for 1 hour, or a billion hours for 1 watt. Okay. If the sun's sea level clear day luminosity per square meter or per square yard is around 1,000 watts, that's ideal. For 4 hours, that would be 4 kilowatt hours for an entire day of exposure. We have to do kilowatt hours to get it to where we're doing megajoules and gigawatt hours, etc. All the energy of 100 tons of uranium fuel would equal 4 hours of sunlight over a certain surface area. It works out to 24 gigasquare meters, or 24,000 square kilometers, or the equivalent to 9,266 square miles, or very close to Vermont's surface area of 9,250 square miles, give or take, for 4 hours of sunlight. 100 tons of uranium is roughly the equivalent to covering Vermont with nothing but solar panels. And you'd get that energy out in 4 hours. If you did it as a smaller array, to where it would take the same period of time it takes for the uranium to burn off, you would have the actual surface area of how much solar panels you would need to replace the uranium. I'm not sure how that triggered you, because I'm telling people that, yeah, we don't need uranium. I took this from a website and double-checked it, saying that we can replace nuclear power with solar power if we're willing to put in the energy and time. Nuclear power plants take up less surface area. But then again, I don't think the deserts are really going to be hurt by us putting up solar panels every 5 or 10 feet. So yeah, if you burned off the uranium, 100,000 kilograms, or 100 tons, and made it give all of its energy in 4 hours, that would be the equivalent to just having a bunch of surface area of Vermont covered with solar panels. I'm against nuclear power, but you don't hear that every time I fucking say it in a video. But saying the uranium puts out more energy than it does, or does something wrong, isn't me deflecting anything. And you ignoring what I did here and not looking for basically a math error is lazy. How is any of this equal to what you claimed before was the heat of 6 suns? It isn't. Where'd you get that from? You got that from a YouTube video or some blog post someplace, or maybe a Facebook posting. The surface temperature of the sun is about 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit, 5,600 degrees Celsius. Surface temperature. There's many temperatures you can use, but I'm looking for the hottest one that was practical, that someone might cite. Uranium melts at about 2,000 Fahrenheit or about 1,000 Celsius. It's actually a different number, but you can read below. The reactor maxed out at almost 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit or almost 2,700 degrees Celsius. But it's not as hot as the sun, nor is it 6 times as hot as the sun, or 6 times or equal to 6 suns, in any mathematic way you can come up with. And again, I'm advocating for replacing nuclear power plants with solar panels, which for some reason right-wingers are also against for no good fucking reason. You're claiming I'm a left-winger who's triggered because, why are you so hard against my original post? You posted a dozen assertions, people can read below at the last part of this video's description, that don't make any sense, that are not on topic, and also were wrong. Just wrong. Let's go on to the next one. Salmon runs. You bring this up because you have to gish gallop this. Okay, salmon runs almost wiped out in every major California river, except salmon run abundance has been decreasing since 1984, so it wasn't caused by Fukushima. And it's the same level. It should have caused a change in it. Coincidentally, in 2015, the salmon runs increased, which is after Fukushima. It's also after a period of time where they stated some of the uranium or whatever actinides from Fukushima fallout had finally reached Hawaii. And also, in 2017, we had technically we were able to identify, I think it was cesium, making landfall in either Oregon or California, depending on what day you looked it up. So blaming 2011 Fukushima incident for what happened in 1984 time tunneling, also then said it went up in 2015 in some places. The 2020 survey is showing a dramatic reversal of this 7-year-old die-off trend, and it's improving. But Fukushima fearmongers scream at the top of their lungs that they're all dying. Then you bring up tide pools and others. Alaska to Mexico, West Coast tide pools are dead. All life around them dies. Well, yeah, if all the animals and plants die, then nothing can eat, so they die off too. But that's from 2013 forward due to a mysterious wasting syndrome, which is being diagnosed. Sea stars along much of the North American Pacific coast, all of the West Coast, experience massive die-offs from Alaska, Canada, the United States, and all the way to Baja, California. The disease is called star wasting syndrome. Persisted at low levels in most areas, continues to kill sea stars all the way up to today's date. An estimated 1 billion generalized sea creatures also died, mostly mussels, died in July. And that was caused by the heat wave because someone went out in the water and tested the temperature. It was too hot. You'll be seeing this happening again in another story. Mexican Fishing Union complains about a different color warm water column from Japan. Was it yellow or was it a red tide? Along 15-kilometer section of Baja, California, you said it was 15 miles. Ocean temperatures as high as 86 degrees Fahrenheit or 30 degrees Celsius killed sardines and other sea life that prefer temperatures between 60 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit, again during the heat wave. But no, we can't blame global warming because conservatives got a conservative. We have to blame it on, in your case, Fukushima. Shouldn't there have been a commensurate increase in heat? No. Well, the uranium is causing the heat. No, it doesn't have a total amount of energy per 100 tons total. It's the equivalent to 4 hours of exposure to the sun over the ocean over an area about 100 miles by 100 miles across, like Vermont. You are wrong. And that doesn't change. Well, it's only heating it up because of global warming by 0.1%. Okay, 0.1%. Okay, so instead of 1 day of 4-hour day exposure to the sun, it's actually longer than that over the ocean. We make it 1,000 days, like 3 years worth of buildup, because it's buildup. Or just because it was a heat wave. 600 tons of dead fish have washed up along Tampa Bay, Florida because of the red tide. But you're going to blame that on Fukushima, though it's on the opposite side of the continent. Then you go on and on about baffled climate scientists and people trying to do what you say that's happening. It's all part of some cover-up because of Fukushima. The readily available answer is switch to solar to get rid of the problem, but you don't discuss that. And you keep trying to make it to where global warming isn't really happening. That's your bias. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. And you are no longer permitted to post here until you post a video showing your face, admitting you did this as a tactic, or address every bit of this math and prove it wrong somehow. Good day. And that should be easy. I'm sure I made a mistake. Why don't you check for that?